Election 2024 is over. America has voted, and both sexism and racism have won the day. On Liberal Dan Radio, we will hold everyone accountable, from the media that failed to report the threat that Trump poses to this nation, to the people who supported him. We will pick up the mantle to educate the people about his actions, from being dictator on day one, pardoning January 6th domestic terrorists, implementing Project 2025, and any other draconian measures he tries to pass. And now, the resistance begins. It's not the series season finale or whatever, because the season starts in July, apparently. At least according to Blog Talk Radio, that was, but that's going the way of the dodo. But welcome to the last show of 2024 here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, you can always join us in the chat rooms at liberaldanradio.com or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Either way, we'll get you there. Hello, Cosmic Ross over there or Cosmic Rose, I'm sorry, over on Twitch, and thank you, Aaron, for being a Twitch subscriber for 12 months. I have been a Twitch affiliate for about 12 months now. It's been a year since I got affiliate on YouTube, and then we very quickly managed to get partner or affiliate or whatever on Twitch as well, thanks to the help especially the mod squad, Jolie and Aaron. Thanks to them specifically, but thanks to all of y'all for doing whatever y'all could do to help me get the numbers high enough to be able to be both monetized here on YouTube and an affiliate on Twitch. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all very much for everything you've done to help the show grow in the last year. It's been it's been a year, that's for sure. We'll be going over the topics of the year. In a few minutes, we will go ahead and air this year's Hypocrite of the Year of 2024. No shocker who it's going to be, but we still have to play it, right? Thank you, Cosmic Rose, for love to NOLA. New Orleans here definitely needs all the love. Let's see, we got Sugar Bowl coming up here in New Orleans, and we got the Super Bowl coming up in a few weeks. And remember, if you're watching the Super Bowl, watch out for that big giant black tower that's not lit up, that blocks the night sky and makes everything ugly, because we had somebody who hasn't taken care of it for years, since Katrina, pretty much. So hey, everybody over on Twitch as well, thank you for joining. Trucker John's already in the chat. Shout out to Trucker John. We got Fancy, we got the Mod Squad, Aaron and Jolie, we've got Mad Max, Steve from across the pond. Did I say Fancy already? Yes, I think I did, but say it again, whatever. Suzanne, good to see you. Josh, let's see, Jeff, John, Jan, we got a lot of J's. Jeff, John, Jan, and Jackie are all in the show. Easy for me to say. CR, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Let's see. Let's scroll. Kevin Anderson. Midas Kevin Anderson, thank you for joining as well. Janelle as well, another J. Lots of J words today. We got John, Josh, Jackie, Jan, Jeff. Lots of J words. Lots of J names, I should say. My shirt says I licked it, so it's mine and has Stitch on it. So if you're wondering why I say my shirt says I licked it, it's because Stitch is my favorite Disney character, and that's the shirt that my son grabbed out of the laundry for me when I needed a shirt earlier. Jeff, I know some J words. I know a bunch of J words as well. The J Squad, yes. Welcome to the J Squad. This weekend's been a pain. Woke up Saturday not feeling very well. My back hurts. I don't know what I did. I don't think I exerted myself doing anything out of the ordinary. Nothing new that I did. No big heavy lifting or anything. But I've been pretty miserable since Saturday. Um, what else? Did manage to do a couple of things over the weekend, but not everything I like to have done. One of the things I wanted to have done this morning, or this sometime during the day, like during my work lunch break or whatever, was there was a funeral going on in the city of New Orleans. I don't know how much of this made national or international news, but Cox Communications is the cable provider down here. Um, I don't use them anymore because they suck. But Cox Communications is the cable provider down here, and over in New Orleans East, one of the Cox Communications employees was shot and killed a few weeks back, and that person was somebody that I knew, somebody that I sang karaoke with, somebody that I hadn't seen in a pretty long while. I don't think since the pandemic started. But he was a really good guy. His name is Adam Brown. He was a really good guy. Everybody who knew him just gushed about how awesome of a person he was. He was just such a good person, a kind person. He was a really talented singer, a very talented chef as well. He was working as a chef at a local restaurant. I think before even Cassie had her celiac diagnosis, and we went to eat there, and everything was just delicious that he made. But apparently, working for Cox was going to make him more money, but unfortunately, we live in terrible times and horrible times, and we won't do anything about gun control. We won't do anything about, you know, anything that's important when it comes to saving the lives of people. And the people here in New Orleans, we've lost a treasure in Adam. So shouts out to you. Hopefully, maybe one day see you again. And sorry I couldn't make it today. There is going to be a couple other things that maybe I could go to in the next week or two. Hopefully, I'll feel well enough to go to those and give my support and love and everybody to everybody else who was able to go today, who knew and loved him. So shouts out to him. Shouts out to the family, sending all my love to the family, friends, etc. of everybody who knew and loved him. And basically, if you knew him, you loved him. So he was that good of a guy. He was definitely, nobody should be dying from gun violence, but he was, high up there of people who absolutely didn't deserve it. Just such a good person. And I could gush for a long time. And it was very strange because a few days before it happened, and his name wasn't released immediately, but the grapevine managed to tell me just to make sure I wasn't blindsided by it. I was just thinking about how I would have loved to have gone back to karaoke with him. We did a couple of duets in karaoke, including Hunger Strike by Temple of the Dog. He did the Chris Cornell part, I did the Eddie Vedder part. And it was, I wish I had that on recording, because I don't think I do, or I don't think I have it anywhere, but I wish I had it on recording because it was a really fond memory of him. So of us, singing together, having fun. But, I always have my internal memory of it and how much of a good time that I had with him. So, yes, Hunger Strike is a great song. I used to not be a fan of Pearl Jam, specifically Eddie Vedder, from a long time ago. Thank you, Cosmic Rose, for the hugs. Appreciate it. I was listening to a show called Rock Lines. It was Rock Line, not Love Phones, but Rock Lines. I used to listen to Love Phones too. That was hilarious. But Rock Lines, have on, famous people, singers, musicians, etc. on all the time. And there was one episode I was watching, and this guy was a fan of Eddie Vedder, and Eddie Vedder was the guest, and they were talking for about a good 20 minutes. And it was an amazing conversation. You could tell that, this guy really loved Pearl Jam, really loved Eddie Vedder, really loved, their music. And Eddie Vedder, just great, talking back to him, whatever, and just having this amazing conversation. It was like they were friends for a long time, and just flowed and clicked. Until the individual said, I just can ask you to do one more thing for me, please. Because the host, after like 20 minutes, or what it felt like it was a long time. I mean, not in a bad way, but after a while, the host was like, we really need to take a commercial break. Would you like to, anything else you'd like to say before we move on to the next caller? And the person was like, yeah, just one more thing. My son is also a huge fan of yours, and could you just wish him a happy birthday? It's his birthday today, and he would really love to hear that. And Eddie Vedder, instead of being like, sure, man, I hope your son has a very happy birthday. Thank you for being fans. Eddie Vedder was like, look, I'll sit. He goes, look, I'll sit. I'll have drink a beer with you. We'll shoot the breeze, or something else that he might have said that might have gotten censored. He goes, but the moment you ask me to do anything for you, I lose all respect for you, and I never want to talk to you again. And I was like, holy crap! Why would you do this to a fan? Like, why? Like, and for a long time, I was just like, why would I be a fan of this band? Because whatever. But I've gotten over that one. There are other musicians now that I don't like that take precedence over my despising Eddie Vedder. I think Eddie Vedder has done good ththings to maybe offset that. So, but for a while, I was just like, what an a-hole. What an absolutely a-hole. Jan Morgan. He was on duty, and somebody was trying to rob his truck. As best I understand it, he was on duty. He was at a call at a house in New Orleans East, which is not the best of areas in the city of New Orleans proper. I mean, tourists are not going to go there unless it's like a really huge weekend, like Mardi Gras or whatever, or maybe the Super Bowl, and you run out of hotels and Airbnb in the city, like proper, like close to the Dome. As people spread out, they might go stay in these other areas like New Orleans East. But yeah, I think the guy wanted copper wiring or something from the truck, and that's what apparently was worth shooting him over. And I don't think Adam fought him either. I think he was just like, take whatever you want. But the guy was like, I guess didn't want any witnesses, and there you go. So John Deff, East Side always seem to be high crime. Suzanne, anyone like a cookie? I would love a cookie. I haven't eaten all day today. Actually, I haven't been hungry all day either. Again, my medicine, but it is what it is. Oh, wait, sorry. That's Hair Donald's line, and I don't even have it open right now. That's going to be half of it anyway, right?
It is what it is.
Let's see, there you go, because I need a new soundboard.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. I didn't have time to download the new soundboard today. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Thank you for joining as well. Hey, James, good to see you. To another J word. We are chock full of J words today. I haven't weighed myself. I probably should maybe weigh myself tomorrow morning or something, or maybe tonight, depending on if I eat anything later. So far, from what I could tell, it was at least 20. But it may very well be more at this point because it's been a few weeks since I've weighed myself. But I don't know. We'll see. Which, of course, sucks over the fact that, I'd like to lose enough weight to where I'm not hurting my knees as much so I can get around and go walk. And, of course, now my back hurts, and it just makes it less likely for me to be able to get mobile and doing things that I need to do. So, yeah, shout out to all the jalapenos out there. Oh, Jeff Gray, I just heard Uranus is wanting a weed shop. You get the best weed from Uranus, right? I would love. I have a feeling just in the back of my head that, they might not be people who support my show, who would support my show in general. I don't know. I might be obsessed with the place, with the fudgery, so to speak, but I don't think they'd ever I would love to be a I would love for them to be a sponsor. That would be hilarious. Welcome to the Liberal Dan Radio Studios, or actually the Uranus Fudge Factory Studios, brought to you by Uranus Fudge Factory. The best fudge comes from Uranus. That would be amazing if I could get that accomplished, but it's probably not going to happen anytime in the near future, if at all. So, let's see. Before we start going into reviewing the year, we're kind of just gonna skim over, a bunch of, I found one website that had just like everything that happened this year. And so we'll skim over a bunch of it, or we'll pass over a bunch of it and talk over mostly the stuff that we spoke about on this podcast over the course of the last year. Hello, Rose. How are you? Good to see you, Rose. I was waiting for you to jump up because she was sitting down here for a little bit. I'm just sitting there like, are you going to jump up on my shoulders or not? And well, there you go. We have a Rose. Put some put some emojis in the chat. So put some kitty emojis in the chat for Rose. Get that algorithm going, right? Anyway, good to see you, Teresa. Thank you could join as well. Let's see. But first and foremost, before we get to anything else, we do, most weeks I do a Hypocrite of the Week. Sometimes it's either nothing new or whatever, but most weeks we do a Hypocrite of the Week. But this week we're doing a Hypocrite of the Year because last year's Hypocrite of the Year was Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Yeah, so there's that. But no shock at all to who this year's Hypocrite of the be. So without further ado, the 2024 Liberal Dan Radio Hypocrite of the Year is 34-time convicted felon and President-elect Donald Trump. He railed about Chinese manufacturing hurting our jobs and then uses them to print Trump Bibles. He bloviated that Vice President Harris would get us into a third world war and now threatens to hit the Middle East with our biggest strike ever. He cries about law and order, but says he may pardon people who assaulted cops on January 6th. I could go on, but there's not enough time left in the year. To see who each week's Hypocrite of the Week is, tune in live Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on liberaldanradio.com or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio for more talk from the left. That's right. And there you go. This year's Hypocrite of the Year is Donald John Trump, President-elect, 34-time convicted felon, found civilly liable for sexual abuse of E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump today was told that in a federal appeals court that the ruling against him will still stand, and so he's going to have to pay that off at some point. But we'll see what happens we'll see if he waits to become president, and then we'll see what the Supreme Court does, because he is going to probably try and use the Supreme Court to get off of everything that he was either found civilly liable for or guilty for. See, Cosmic Rose, if you remember Pete Fountain, I do remember Pete Fountain. He was literally my neighbor for years, and my family came to NOLA to visit him. Oh, that's pretty cool. Felon 47, yes. Pete Fountain used to have this marching group that would start off most Mardi Gras seasons or whatever, and it was called the one half fast, not slow, marching club, but half fast together sounds like half-assed. So there you go. Nice, clever play on words, and him and other musicians would, I think, jump on a streetcar line, and some of them would march and whatever, and you'd walk down St. Charles, and it would be one of the unofficial starts to the Mardi Gras season. So, Trucker John, if Trump is really a billionaire, then his judgment should be chump change. One would think. However, I'm sure a lot of Trump's wealth is held up in, not necessarily frozen assets, but in non-liquid assets. I'm sure, he can't just cash out from Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't have any casinos anymore that he could just, steal money from and then let go into bankruptcy. I mean, I guess he could do that with any business that he wants. But the fact is that I think Donald Trump feels that if he has to pay this, then he pays it, he's going to be admitting that he did something wrong by actually paying it. So he's going to try and avoid paying it as much as possible. And I mean, I don't know how much of Donald Trump's wealth is liquid or not. One would think that, somebody who is supposedly worth $1 billion, again, would be able to have enough liquid to pay off such a judgment, but who knows? I mean, if you're that wealthy, a lot of the times the wealthy people don't even take income from their corporations. They get stock options and they pay themselves in stocks and then take loans out against those stocks. But who at this point is dumb enough to loan Donald Trump money after all the bankruptcies he's used and after all the abuses of the bankruptcy laws that he's done? So I don't know. I don't know, again, if he's that liquid or not, but his property should be seized if that's the case, and and liquidated so that his lawsuits, especially with the $450 or $500 million suit by the city of New York or state of New York, I mean, that's probably a bigger issue, and that's probably going to be more asset seizing and liquidating, which would be hilarious if E. Jean Carroll ends up with Donald Trump's suite in Trump Tower. That would be amazing. Just call it E. Jean Carroll Tower. So he'll find someone. Well, the problem is that someone he'll find will be somebody like, a Russian oligarch, and then he'll be even more beholden to Putin in Russia. And we don't want that. Of course, I don't know if you can get much more beholden to Putin in Russia than he already is, but we'll see. Or maybe he's just trying to cozy up to Musk now, simply because of the fact that Elon Musk, maybe he thinks that Elon Musk's billions, or maybe soon to be trillions, will help him avoid, Putin's wrath, especially if he's basically allowing Elon Musk to be the de facto president, if not in name, but in practice. So, yes, thank you, Teresa. I hope you also have a happy and healthy and peaceful New Year as well. Thank you for joining by. I appreciate you. It's the goddess Kimchi is in chat. Good to see you, Kimchi. Thank you for joining as well. But before we start reviewing the news of the year, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about President Jimmy Carter, who did pass away yesterday. He, of course, one of the things that I said almost immediately, give one sweet to Fannie Willis. Nice. Yes, just saying. Absolutely. One of the things that I was saying almost immediately after Jimmy Carter died was, thank goodness he died during the Biden presidency. Thank goodness that he died during Joe Biden's presidency. I'm sorry, pregnancy. There's no pregnancy there. Way too old and wrong, gender. But I'm very thankful that Joe Biden will be the one giving the eulogy and not Donald Trump, because it would have been a dishonor to President Carter's memory to have the 34-time convicted felon and individual found liable for sexual abuse to be the one eulogizing him. So maybe he just figured, I know, like, when my biological grandfather, i.e. the one who didn't know that my mom existed until she found him on 23andMe or whatever it was, I know that when she was at the house with him, he was kind of struggling to go on or whatever, but she was I remember her telling me one thing where it was like, it's okay, you can let go, and he just then let himself go. And then he passed away shortly thereafter. So I'm wondering if Jimmy Carter was like, I fought the good fight. I tried to help get Vice President Harris elected president. He lived long enough to cast the ballot. He lived long enough to do a lot of great things with his life, from, some worms outbreak in Africa that he worked on, to the housing, working on affordable housing with Habitat for Humanity, his work on getting peace across the world. His life will be defined probably far more by all those things he did after being president than while being president. He is criticized for some of the things. Of course, there's some things that I find ridiculous. Like, I think it's ridiculous that Reagan gets credit for the release of the hostages when it was clear that, there was some shenanigans going on over there, and basically they weren't wanting to give Carter the win, and as such, they were willing to give Reagan the win, which is a bunch of BS. The idea that the work hadn't been done previously to set everything else up is absurd. But so no, I'm not going to sit here and give Reagan props for doing something on his first day of office that was being worked on for months or so with Jimmy Carter as president. So no, he shouldn't get the credit. Yeah, it happened minutes after Reagan was inaugurated. Exactly. So there's no reason that Reagan should get any of the credit, but for some reason he does, because conservatives are batshit crazy when it comes to their hero worship. At least many are. Apparently he was the first president that was ever born in a hospital. We were kind of talking about hospitals on the show about healthcare when we were talking about Luigi Mangione and how health insurance has morphed from a not-for-profit thing to help people avoid costs to a for-profit scheme that avoids paying costs whenever at all possible. But there weren't a lot of hospitals in early America, and they were very, some of them more were like sanitariums instead of hospitals. He was the first president to be born in a hospital. Apparently Bill Clinton now is the last president alive from the 20th century, which was just like a whoa thing right there. I found out that my anniversary is on July 7th, and so that's also the day, July 7th, not the same year, obviously, but me and my wife share a wedding anniversary with the Carters, which is kind of neat. I guess I'll never forget that one either. because Jimmy Carter shares the same anniversary as me, and my anniversary was 777, or at least my wedding day was 777. It was reported that President Carter was a big Atlanta Falcons fan. As a New Orleans Saints fan myself, I will say that this is proof that nobody's perfect, and that, sometimes people have flaws in their judgment. That being said, it was very nice of the Atlanta Falcons I think in the middle of the game, I think they announced that the former president had passed away. Yes, Kelly Anderson, don't presidents usually lie in state when the public can give their condolences? Absolutely correct. President Biden has announced that President Carter will be lying in state for 3 days in Washington, D.C. Of course, come January 20th, Donald Trump will be president, and he will be lying in every state that he enters. So, thank you for setting up the joke for me, Kelly. I appreciate you. Yeah, James, it was Oliver North. That's when I started paying attention to politics as a child. What did John say? Did I miss what? I don't even have it on live chat. I have it on top chat. That could be why I'm not seeing everything. Some things are missing. There you go. Let's see. So dude studied nuclear science and was a submariner. Yes. I mean, clearly much more intelligent than our incoming president. Of course, that's a very low bar to set. I think I think George W. Bush is far more intelligent than Donald Trump, and that's saying a lot. So, yeah, everybody knows about Iran-Contra. Yes. So, let's see. I remember, Suzanne says, I remember when JFK got shot. Wow. I mean, I do remember Jimmy Carter being president. I do remember seeing news and seeing Jimmy Carter as president. I don't think I necessarily remember the 1980 elections, but I do remember bits and pieces of my early childhood where I did see Jimmy Carter on TV as president. Probably from the gas shortage or something. Who knows? Yes, Kelly, I hate top comments as well. I mean, you're the one who said it, Roxanne. So, anyway. And as a side note, another death took place. Linda Lavin, the lead actress from Alice, she died. I used to love that show as a kid. Used to watch it a bunch with Mel and, Kiss My Grits. So, we lost another actor. We'll talk about other people that were lost over the course of the year, I guess, as we're reviewing this year in review. See, Steve, can't I just drink beer in bed and watch YouTube and shout Happy New Year at midnight? Sure. Let's see. But yeah, so we got a bunch of stuff going on. We'll start, I guess, the year in review. But we will also go ahead and see if this works and open up the phone lines. The phone lines. Hey, Impeccable Living, good to see you. The phone line, of course, is 562-542-3261 or 562-LIBDAN1. 562-LIBDAN1 is the phone number. If you do feel like calling in, you may feel free to do so. Just put your name in chat that you're calling in just to show me where you're calling from or whatever. I think it does say who you are when it do ask, but hopefully I answer it fast enough and it doesn't go to voicemail. I did get a call on it earlier today as I was trying to use a phone for something, use that phone number for something else, and it worked. So, but it only worked on myself. I don't know how much it's going to work or if it's going to work this time. If it doesn't work with somebody calling in, we'll see, and we'll go from there. So, see, Cosmic Rose, former President Jimmy Carter's his funeral will be January 9th at the Washington National Cathedral. Will be streamed on YouTube. Well, there you go. Yeah, Cosmic Rose also so happy that he will eat up the news cycle and flags will still fly at half-staff during the January 20th inauguration. They should have flown at half-staff during Donald Trump's inauguration anyway. However, yeah, we will be reminded of a much better president than Donald Trump, even though he passed during the Donald Trump inauguration. So let's see, Jeff. I missed something which is somebody had to go to the hospital or doctor or whatever. Oh wait, I forgot to do something for Impeccable Living. Thank you very much for that one, George. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm going to where I've been able to download the new sound for you, Steve, from across the pond. But I will get to it. Don't you worry. Yeah, we turned the audio. Oh wait, you didn't even hear it because I turned that off because there you go. It actually played correctly, and I didn't. That's the problem with me leaving the phone like that. My. There you go. Now you heard it. So, boom, boom, boom. Let's mute that again. I leave the sounds muted because if I'm taking a phone call, I don't want you to have to hear all the phone stuff and everything. But we'll see. Let's see, who knew vodka and Coke is awesome? It's mostly vodka. My bar too. It's CCKS. What? I don't know what the last part says. But yeah. What? Jeff, Trump is supposed to live to 200. Hopefully that's just in dog years. I don't know. But I don't think I liked vodka and Coke when I tried it last time, when I tried it the previous time, because someone was out of rum, so I was like, all right, well, give me vodka. I don't think it was as good, anywhere near as good as a rum and Coke. Apparently, I saw some video where red wine and Coke is a thing, where if you pour like some probably cheap red wine in like half into a glass and then pour some Coke into a glass as well, it tastes like an adult cherry Coke, supposedly, even though it's grape. But who knows? Starter Monkey, it drunkenly rocks. There you go. So, and again, 562-542-3261, 562-LibDan1 is the call-in number. Let's go through some of the things. I'm going through the onthisday.com for events that took place in 2024, and we're starting with January. One of the things we did talk about on January 2nd, Claudine Gay, Harvard University's first black president, resigned following testimony to Congress on anti-Semitism and amid plagiarism allegations. I couldn't care less about the plagiarism allegations. Republicans don't care about plagiarism when a Republican doesn't, so they can't then come and attack liberal, left, Democrat, progressive folks for doing that as well. My issue with Claudine Gay was the fact that she was not being as strong about standing up against anti-Semitism on her campus. And anti-Semitism is something we cannot tolerate, we cannot stand for, and there are many people who are being anti-Semitic because in their protesting of Israel, because as I said on the show before, as I say in one of my Israel, playlist type things, there are many people who are just not skilled enough to be able to give their criticisms of Israel and not do it in a way that sounds anti-Semitic. Simple. I mean, there are people who can, there are people who do. But there are many people who don't, and a lot of those people were at these protests. A lot of these people couldn't even name the river and the sea that were being talked about in the Hamas-inspired chant from the river to the sea. Of course, there was a retooling or reuse. Somebody repurposed that thing and said, from the river to the sea, everybody's safe and free. I have no problem if they were to take that, reclaim it, and use it in a manner that doesn't call for the extermination of Jews, but when you use it like Hamas used it, pretty much that's a call for the extermination of Jewish people. So there you go. Steve is from Scotland. Yes, he is from Scotland, and if it's not Scottish, it's crap. There you go. Let's see. Two explosions killed at least 95 people during a commemorative ceremony marking the assassination of Qasem Soleimani in Iran. You had January 5th of this year, you had one of the first emergency landings of the Boeing Airlines after a fuselage section blows out midair, with U.S. regulars then grounding hundreds of planes. And then later on in that year, the Boeing spaceship got screwed up, and I think the people are still there when they're not supposed to be. Why would you trust Boeing? I don't know. Is Boeing too big to fail? Because, they seem to be rescuing Boeing, so to speak. So, let's see. See, Pope Francis calls for an end of surrogacy, and he calls it despicable for commercializing pregnancy. There's arguments that are made about surrogacy and the ethics of it, because there are people who do kind of use it as a way to make money, and then potentially it puts lower income people who might need the money at risk for carrying the children. However, that being said, I think a lot more people are helped by surrogacy than harmed, and we don't want to throw baby out with the bathwater. Let's see. Let's see. January 9th of that year, 2023 was confirmed as the world's warmest year on record, 1.48 degrees Celsius warmer than the long-term average, driven by climate change and El Nino. Chris Christie on January 10th dropped out of the presidential election. Bill Belichick left the Patriots. The largest dam removal in U.S. history enters crucial phase as Reservoir and Iron Gate Dam lowered in Klamath River through California and Oregon. That's the largest dam removal we've seen. No, there's been no dam removals that are bigger than that one. The jokes just write themselves in that one. Thanks. Now I want some shortbread and digestives. Nice. Josh, do we have to remember this year? We could review things that are not that are history forgotten is repeated. So no, we don't want to forget this year because we don't want to repeat it this year, including, horrible people like Trump being elected president, because we're a bunch of dumbasses. But we'll get to that later on in the review of what's going on, of what went on. Trump destroyed the Republicans in Iowa, the Iowa caucuses. No shock there, because nobody was really going to stand up against Trump. Even Nikki Haley didn't stand up against Trump in the long term. She still backed his candidacy, because she has no spine. Republicans have no spine, and when it comes to standing up to Donald Trump. Somebody in a group that I'm a member of on Facebook was basically like, is pardoning a domestic terrorist an example that's an impeachable offense? And I'm like, well, technically anything is an example of an impeachable offense. But because, they can turn anything into something that's impeachable, they turned lying under oath about a blowjob as something that was an impeachable offense. And they didn't convict President Clinton of it, but they impeached him, and he wasn't convicted. But the thing is that the people in Congress have no spines, specifically the Republicans, have no spines and have shown no willingness to stand up to Donald Trump for anything that he ever does. They're afraid that they will lose their next election if they dare vote against Donald Trump or dare vote for an impeachment or conviction of any impeachment charges. And as such, he can pretty much do whatever the hell he wants to. And for the first 2 years, he won't be touched by anybody, by Congress. He can't be touched by the courts, because the Justice Department has determined that a sitting president can't be indicted. And then of course the Supreme Court has his back as well. So you would basically need to have a move to impeach him after the 2026 elections, which would require you to have a majority in the House and then retake the Senate with enough votes to convict, which that's going to be very hard. So, no, I don't expect Donald Trump to be ever held responsible or held accountable for any federal crimes or for anything that he's done that should be considered an impeachable offense, regardless of whether or not it really should be or not. Let's see. Still kind of going on. Alec Baldwin was indicted in January as well over the charges about the shooting of a movie set. He was since cleared of that, but other people have been charged. Japan became the 5th nation to land a spacecraft on the moon with its slim, smart lander for investigating moon using pinpoint landing technology. We had a very large, deep freeze. Tara Van Derver, 70, became the largest, winningest college basketball coach with 1,203rd victory as Stanford University defeated Oregon. Joel Embiid set a 76ers franchise record with 70 points in a single game, topping the 68 by Wilt Chamberlain. Of course, he still holds the most points in a game ever. Funny Adam Sandler routine about that, where they go into the huddle at halftime and they're like, at Wilt's team is like, "Hey, Wilt, I'm open," and then the other team is like, "Who's on Wilt?" So yeah. See, Russian military plane shot down by Ukrainian forces in Russia kills all 74 on board, including 75 Ukrainian prisoners of war. Prompts accusations on both sides. Of course, Slava Ukraini, the Ukraine, I feel very bad for the Ukrainians. That is one of the things that's going to be seen, is what happens in the new year, or at least what happens after January 20th when Donald Trump then bends over backwards or forwards or whatever, or however he's going to bend over for Hair Putin, so to speak. In January, the U.S. federal jury says Trump must pay $83 million in damages to E. Jean Carroll after he denied raping her. Of course, remember, if Donald Trump was found civilly liable for sexual abuse, because we want to make sure that's out there so Donald Trump doesn't try and sue me. Not that he'd get much, but he could get some, and that's not good. I don't want him getting anything. Anything big in that? Suits was the most streamed show in 2023 with 57.7 billion minutes, followed by Bluey, then NCIS, according to Nielsen. Ironically enough, I am currently binging Suits because there's a new Suits coming out, and I've seen clips of Suits wherever, and I'm like, let me just binge that show and kind of see. Thank you, Aaron. Oh, look at that. Aaron gifted a membership and went right to Trucker John. That's amazing. I think the 83 million is the additional on top of the additional 5. I think, if I'm having that correctly. And in January, Elmo just said, Elmo's checking in, how's everybody doing? And received a ton of honest replies, which is crazy. Caitlin Clark posted 35 points and 10 assists, and broke the Big Ten all-time scoring record. And then that's January of the year. So it's always nice to see regulars get the gifts. We wish you could target the gifts, or wish I could be like, these people get the gifts, but it's all random, but that's fine. I'm happy when it happens and when it goes to people who, regularly watch the show. And you should also subscribe to Trucker John's, like I did. February. Let's see. I'm not really interested in most of the pop culture ones. Let's see. King Charles was diagnosed with cancer. February 7th, Netanyahu rejects Hamas ceasefire proposal. He will continue till, quote, total victory, saying forces will push further into the south to the city of Rafah. Let's see. Super Bowl was the most watched TV program in U.S. history. Of course, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs won back-to-back Super Bowls and third in 5 years. I'm sure they'll be down here again because, that's just how it probably will go. Israel also launched strikes on Lebanon on Valentine's Day after retaliation after Hezbollah rocket killed an Israeli soldier. Thank you, Mad Mac, for gifting 5 memberships. Appreciate you. Got Jan Morgan, Mark P., Midas Sue, Pump Clono, and Erica Cubs all got those gifts. So appreciate you. Thank you so much for the gifts, Mad Mac. Those go a long way in helping out the show. Of course, one of the best ways to help the show is just to interact with the videos, like, share, comment, etc. Get the algorithms up. Comment on old ones. Get them up there. Make them go viral or whatever. Share it amongst your friends. Share the, hey, this is a good video for Liberal Dan Radio. Let's see. Greece is the first Christian Orthodox country to legalize same-sex marriage and adoption. February 16th, Alabama Supreme Court rules frozen embryos can be considered children as part of a wrongful death case where frozen embryos were accidentally destroyed in a clinic, because of course Alabama would do that. February 6th, Donald Trump and the Trump Organization was ordered to pay $354 million in fines in New York civil fraud case, one of the largest corporate sanctions in New York history. Has he paid it? No. In a historical rank, even though Donald Trump says that Joe Biden was the worst president, followed by Jimmy Carter, because that's what he said during the campaign trail when Donald Trump was attacking Jimmy Carter, despite the fact that he was, getting on in age and in hospice care and not anybody that should really be targeted for anything at that point. The poll done by those historians ranked Joe Biden as the 14th best U.S. president, and Donald Trump was ranked as the worst president. No shock here. Beyonce topped the country chart on February 20th with her Texas Hold'em single. Let's see. Scroll. Ghana passes new legislation making it illegal to identify as LGBTQ+. So, of course, I'm sure Donald Trump won't help those people. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced that he was stepping down. Oprah left Weight Watchers. Let's go on to March. Oh yeah, Jan got 2 gifted memberships. That's awesome. See, most Republicans had nothing good to say about President Carter when he was alive, so they call all just STFU. Yep, exactly. They should just, if you didn't talk nicely about Jimmy Carter, don't talk nicely about him now. You don't have to praise him in death, but shut up. You should, and that's why I'm glad that if he had to pass away, that he passed away during Biden's administration, so that Biden could be the one saying the words in eulogy of him. Caitlin Clark later on that year in March became the NCAA Division I all-time career scoring leader, surpassing Pete Maravich's total of 3,667, 35 points in a win over Ohio State brought her to 3,685 and counting. People want to make excuses or say, well, this wasn't the case, that wasn't the case. Well, sure, okay, whatever, but she still did it. Good for her. Supreme Court in March ruled that states can't bar Trump from running for office. They said that power rests with Congress and, I guess, the actions that are done typically on January 6th. But I doubt the Democrats are going to challenge his ability to be president at the January 6th counting of the electoral votes. In March, Nikki Haley ended her campaign. Of course, after she left the campaign, she still ended up getting like 20 or 30 percentage points in some states of people just voting against Trump. But for some reason, I guess that wasn't good enough because those people, I guess, probably either still voted for Trump or just didn't vote at all. And therefore, Donald Trump managed to win the frickin' presidential election. Biden gave a State of the Union on March 7th. And he attacked his cognitive issues, and he did really well. And again, one of the things that's unfair about President Biden and him, and a lot of the same, they show the same damn clip all the time, and it drives me absolutely nuts because they play the clip about how he said we killed Medicare, like he paused, he said we killed blank Medicare, and then when they play the clip, they don't bring out the fact that his time was out. His time was up. And instead of trying to push on and talk more, he just stopped and followed the rules. And for some reason, him following the debate rules, which caused a sentence to be abruptly cut in the middle of it, was viewed as mental incompetency, which is just batshit crazy for that to have happened. I mean, Donald Trump literally sharted on stage. Hal caught it, I caught it, bunch of other people caught it as well. That's why when I started calling him Maga von Schitz's pants, because he literally crapped his pants, or so it sounded like, in the middle of the presidential debate. Thank you, Seha, for dropping by and giving a drop-in like for the channel. Always appreciate that. You should do that for all the creators you see, all of the people who are sparklers or sparklers adjacent, or people where sparklers often go, be they Dude, be they Hal himself, be they Boston Brian, be they many other people that are out there who are trying to do and fight the good fight and, do the job that the actual media is not doing. If you see them live, stop in, give them a like. You can just move on at that point. But if you don't have the time to do anything else, but give them a like whenever you can. I'm not saying you have to do it every day, but give them a like as much as you can. So, even though I think we might actually be now, I think Boston Brian picked Wednesday nights to come on the air, so we'll see how that goes. Supposedly I'm going to be on Boston Brian show at some point as well. Maybe not this upcoming Wednesday, but the next Wednesday, but we'll see about that as well. It's not set in stone at the moment. Romanian police detain Andrew Tate and his brother following the prosecutor of Bucharest Court of Appeals order for a one-day detention. Romanian court rules that Andrew Tate and his brother can be extradited to the UK only after the Romanian trial for human trafficking. And then on March 13th, House of Representatives votes to force TikTok owner China-based ByteDance to sell social media platform or face a ban in the U.S. The ban in the U.S. is supposed to start next month, days before Trump takes office again. Donald Trump has asked the Supreme Court to intervene. We will see what they do. I'm not holding my breath that they are going to stand up to Donald Trump, even though, Congress is supposed to be the one that makes the laws, but they won't care about that because Donald Trump has asked them to do his bidding, and they'll do his bidding. At least 60 migrants in March die of dehydration and hunger, with 25 rescued after a dinghy engine breaks down off the coast of Libya. That wasn't here. I thought that was going to be something from Texas. In March, Pence didn't endorse Trump, which shouldn't be a shock considering the fact that Trump did nothing while Trump supporters tried to have him offed. Neuralink company, somebody played chess through their brain implant. Wonder if that will work on Donald Trump or Elon Musk, because you kind of have to have a brain for a brain implant to work, right? It is what it is. I'm just taking Trump's line at that point. And if you did miss the Liberal Dan Radio Hypocrite of the Year, I'll probably post it after the show, and also I'll play it probably one more time as we're leaving the show, as the show goes off for the end of this year. In March, you had the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore after being struck by a cargo ship. It lost power. 6 people were left missing. The people who were driving the ship acted super fast. They realized what was going on. They realized what was going wrong. And they called the police immediately, and the police were able to activate and get the bridge blocked, get the people off the bridge, and people got off the bridge with seconds to spare. New analysis confirms climate change is slowing the rotation of the Earth due to melting ice caps. Will probably delay the next leap second by 3 years. Interesting. Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of FTX Exchange, sentenced to 25 years in prison after being convicted of fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Shocked that it would happen. Thank you, James, for subscribing. Appreciate you. See, my bank account is Christmas thin. I'll re-up membership later. Thank you, Seha. Appreciate it. I understand the thin banking issue as well. April 2024. We're moving on. See, in 80s, Spitting Image had a recurring sketch about Reagan. The president's brain is missing. At least he had one to start with. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I do like the Saturday Night Live parodies of Reagan when they had Phil Hartman imitating Reagan, and he'd be like, well, I'm gonna talk to this nice kid and shake his hand and be very calm and very demeanored, and then like the kid would leave the room and he'd be like, "Boom, there you go. Now we got to do this," and he'd be like, "I'll get to business." It was a hilarious little bit. Let's see, saw that too, Brian. And so there are two people who were moving and doing their Wednesday shows. Lovely. Um, see, in April you had Netanyahu and the Israeli military in their actions that I've deemed as not being kosher. 7 aid workers from the World Central Kitchen were killed in an Israeli attack in Gaza, prompting a condemnation and an apology by Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Of course, if Netanyahu was really sincere about his apology, he would do something to make sure it didn't happen again. Of course, many more innocent people died because Netanyahu was more interested in retribution than getting hostages back or actually finding the actual people who did it and taking them out. Briefly, who else is doing Wednesday besides Boston Brian? I think somebody said Jesse. I don't know. Kelly Anderson said that in the YouTube chat. Again, from what I think Andrea had told me, I thought Boston Brian would go on the air at 6 on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Wednesdays, or maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. If I feel like the show is dropping in attendance because somebody else decided they're going to do a show on Wednesday, maybe I'll flip it around and do a show on Monday on Tuesday, or Monday in another day. I don't know. We'll see. Can't do it on Thursday, at least for the first whatever, but I want to stick with Mondays and Wednesdays, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Vatican rejects sex changes in April. That's not shocking at all. Of course, I had another argument with another discussion with somebody online, with somebody who didn't understand. He was basically somebody who's an evangelical Catholic type, who keeps trying to tell me on his friend's page. I'm not friends with him. I'm friends with his friend. He keeps trying to tell me that I have to, convert to Judaism and be saved. And I'm like, well, didn't Pope John Paul II state that Judaism is Christianity's elder brother in faith whose covenant with God has not been rescinded? And don't you believe as a Catholic in papal infallibility? I'm like, it seems to me that I know a lot more about his religion than he does. Then again, also when Ad Lohim was here, and Ad Lohim got, when Ad Lohim got, started talking about religion, and I said Acts 4 and 5 talks about socialism, he denied it, and then of course I immediately went and explained why he was wrong about his own religion, I guess, or her, who knows. I don't know if we've ever sat on a gender for Ad Lohim. I've always thought it was, our good old friend JG, but it could be somebody else. Who knows? Let's see. In April, James and General Crumbly were the first parents to be held criminally responsible for a U.S. mass shooting committed as their child was sentenced to 10 to 5 years for manslaughter in Michigan. I mean, good, but we need more responsibility and accountability of these people. Iran launched a strike, 300 drones and missiles, almost all shot down. That's what the Iron Dome will do, right? See, Steve, yeah, we got a wild ride coming next year. Enjoy it while we can. Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons we're going to be here, to keep track of what Trump does, do our Trump watch, make sure that we report on the things, because we cannot count on the media. Can't count on MSNBC. We cannot count on everybody to look at it. I mean, you had Joe and Mika immediately after bashing Trump for months and months go and flee down to Mar-a-Lago after Trump wins because they want to kiss his ass. You have other news agencies that are unwilling to do whatever it is they needed to do to actually educate the people when it comes to the horribleness that is Donald Trump and all of the horrible things that he said and done, because they put corporate profits ahead of everything else. Of course, same thing got somebody else, and it has a healthcare CEO. In April, Trump became the first former U.S. president to stand trial on criminal charges, because that's when his hush money case began in New York. Let's see, a bunch of flooding in the United Arab Emirates. Albanese Musk feud, April 23rd. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese hits back at Elon Musk, saying, "I will do what's necessary to take on this arrogant billionaire who thinks he's above the law," as a court orders X take down terrorist attack footage. Of course, Elon Musk and most other people who are rich billionaires do feel that they're above the law, because our judicial system basically lets them know that they're frickin' above the law. That's why health insurance companies can deny people claims and basically kill people for not covering needed, required health care, and have it not be considered as the same level of shock and awe and disbelief, whatever, as Luigi Mangione is accused of doing. Let's see. Let's go to May. See, John Deff, not a fan of Cenk. He helped Trump get elected twice. Yeah, I mean, Cenk Younger is absolutely... No. Who said Cenk? Let's see. Hold on. Let's go back to Josh. I think I missed what Josh said about Cenk Younger. But anyway, yeah, I mean, the Young Turks cannot be relied on for any sort of thing that is progressive in any way, shape, or form. The Young Turks said that the ruling on quotas or whatever, or affirmative action or whatever, on admissions in Harvard was correct, and that maybe it was time that we got rid of such things. Anna and Cenk Younger both took some very turfy anti-trans stances way back in the day, just because Anna Kasparian didn't like the fact that some people referred to as birthing people or whatever. I mean, I don't use that term either. I just use people who can get pregnant when I'm trying to be gender non-specific to those people who are affected by the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the passage of Dobbs v. Jackson. So there's that. But no, there's the reason Young Turks still having an audience is just, I don't understand. And apparently I saw some comments on the Young Turks where they were basically just, there were conservatives coming in and cheering them. Like, what the hell? You realize that you have, if you have to pander to conservatives to continue on your progressive show, you're not progressives anymore. You're not on the left anymore. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of gatekeeping normally, but guess what? In this one, yeah, you do. You start posting, you start talking about turfy stuff, you start being horrible to trans people, then yes, I am absolutely going to call you out and question your leftist bona fides or whatever. Cosmic, I don't know. It's not necessarily set in stone when Boss and Brian's hours are going to be. Jolie had said something different. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Andrea had said another thing. We don't know. Currently, the plan is to continue on Liberal Dan Radio on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central. And if anybody else wants to run shows counter to that, so be it. One would hope that we would maybe all coordinate to try and keep ourselves at hours that are, where people can go from show to show to show and not have to pick and choose. But, some people are coming from TikTok and then they do their regular things on TikTok every night, like my dude, Tommy. And I have no problem with my dude, although I have noticed that there are some people who are always in there, not in my show anymore. Whatever. I mean, again, support whatever show you want to support, but, we shouldn't be programming against each other would be my point. But with I have fewer listeners, subscribers, etc. than some of these other folks, and so maybe they think they don't care. But it is what it is. Whatever. I still supporting Hal, Dude, Trucker John, obviously Trucker John. Trucker John's awesome. Boston Brian, it's Carbon, I think it is. All of those shows should be supported because all of us are doing what needs to be done to fight back against Donald Trump and Project 2025 and all the other BS that's to come. I just wish that we would do it in a way that is, makes sense. Kind of make a network of folks, so to speak. Kind of like maybe what is done, on Stephanie Miller's show and stuff like that, where they have kind of like a network of things going on, where she talks about a lot of the other people, like the Midas folks and Hal Sparks and everything like that, and they talk about them and she pushes them. That's great, and she should. But I think we, as the smaller podcasters, the smaller creators, need to also do a better job of coordinating with each other, so we're not going over each other, and we're not having the bad having to have people make choices as to which one they want to watch and which one they don't. So let's see. Stormy Daniels in May testified against Donald Trump as part of his hush money trial. Vladimir Putin was sworn in for the 5th term because I'm sure that was a very fair election. Let's see. British TV BAFTA Awards, Top Boy, Best Drama, Such Brave Girls, whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to do too much pop culture stuff in here. The Gaza's health ministry in May 12th said that 35,000 people have now been killed in Gaza since October 7th, amid fears that Rafah will be invaded. Of course, the Gaza's health ministry is run by who? But Hamas, so I have a hard time trusting numbers coming out of the Gaza health ministry. But then again, who else are you going to believe, right? Surrender Monkey. Who is this Sparks fella? I may wander over and gander at his wares. You should. He's quite the entertaining fella, and he's very intelligent, so to speak. And because we agree on a lot of stuff, so clearly he's intelligent. If he agrees on most of the stuff that I agree with, right? The Dow Jones Industrial surpassed 40,000 points for the first time before closing at 39,869. Of course, that was in May of this year. Of course, Donald Trump, if that was happening during a Republican presidency, the Republicans would ignore everything else about the economy and say, look how great the economy is. All these stocks are going up. But because Biden was president, they blame Biden for the other things and say, oh, he has nothing to do with that. Whatever. I mean, you should go see Hal. I mean, I want you to go watch Hal when Hal's on. Just come here when I'm on too. Share your viewing times and hits and everything like that. Apparently, on my birthday, it was determined that the common cockroach has originated in South Asia and then was domesticated in Germany before spreading around the world. Who domesticated cockroaches? Why would you do that? Why would you domesticate a cockroach? Doesn't make any sense. That's how you get Donald Trump as president. The Pope apologized on May 28th for using a homophobic term in a private assembly of Italian bishops where he can reconfirm the church's ban on gay priests. There you go. May 30th, jury in New York City found former U.S. President Donald Trump guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to hide payments made to prevent damaging personal information from being released prior to the 2016 election. May 31st, trillions of periodical cicadas emerged together for the first time in 221 years. Brood X1X, the Great Southern Brood, after 13 years, and Brood 8 after 17 years. I think I remember Brood 8. Cockroaches don't sound as appetizing as grub worms, says Steven, especially if you're Timon and Pumbaa. Jeff, I didn't mean to domesticate a cockroach, but I did marry her. Brum, bum, Suzanne, my sister-in-law, is from New Orleans, Louisiana. Well, I mean, I'm not from here, but I've been here since I was 18. But, you know, there are some good people from here, I'd like to say. All right, June 2024. World's largest ever election ends in India after 6 weeks, with 642 million people voting in the country's general election, including a record 312 million women. Labor unions went on strike in Nigeria. Blah, blah, blah. Boeing Starliner crew flight test mission launches aboard an Atlas V rocket with astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. And then what happened to them? Dick Van Dyke is the oldest winner of a Daytime Emmy for a guest performance on Days of Our Lives. Pat Sajak did his final spin on Wheel of Fortune. South Florida floods. 46 billion pay deal for Musk. Elon Musk secures Tesla's shareholders' approval for a 46 billion pay deal, the largest in corporate history. You know, because what does, you know, why, if you have 1 billion, why not have 46 billion, right? This is what we call hoarding. There are stories about the dragons hoarding wealth. Nobody pays attention to those allegories, so to speak, or whatever. Let's see. Louisiana, of course, signed a bill into law, or Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, signed a bill into law requiring the Ten Commandments to be displayed in classrooms. That has since been challenged and is currently in the areas where the lawsuit is effective. It is currently banned, but the state of Louisiana is fighting to make sure that they can use their schools to push religious beliefs on other people. Because, you know, that's the important thing that needs to be done. Not, you know, education or healthcare, but letting people know that the Ten Commandments are a thing. That's important. Let's see. Scroll. Flooding against the Midwest. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange reaches a deal with U.S. pleading guilty to criminal charges but allowed to go free after 5 years in U.K. prison. The first debate between Trump and Biden took place in June 27th of this past year. Of course, again, that's where I felt he was treated unfairly about the whole thing with the killed Medicare comment, because it was obviously a halfway finished statement that he didn't finish because he was following the rules. But, you know, people are fickle. In June 28th, the Supreme Court decision clears the way for states to place bans on homeless sleeping, as 650,000 estimated unhoused people are in the U.S., up 12%. Glenn Kirshner has been wrong the last 6 years, pretty much. Why are there so many Landrys in Louisiana? I think there's like a St. Landry Parish. I think that's one of the parishes, is St. Landry Parish, and it's probably a bunch of them come from there. Because you have Landry, but you also have Landrew. Because you have Mitch Landrew and Mary Landrew, who are both elected Democratic politicians. Of course, you have Mandy Landry, the friend of the show. Then, of course, you have Jeff Landry, the bad one. July 2024. U.S. Supreme Court rules ex-presidents have immunity from prosecution for all official acts, altering the 2020 election interference case against Donald Trump. Of course, it has to be presidential acts, not non-presidential acts. But again, how do you determine what's a presidential act and what's a non-presidential act? Unless you're able to subpoena records, but you can't subpoena the records, the communications of the executive branch, because that same ruling also counted them as privileged, which is, again, what most people don't get. I mean, y'all do, because y'all listen to me and Hal and my dude and everybody else. But a lot of people don't understand the fact of the harm that Supreme Court ruling did. Researchers learned hippos can fly, or at least become airborne, in a UK study of their footfall patterns showed them trotting at such speed that all of their feet left the ground. I don't think that's flying. I think that's being silly. Sonia Massey was shot and killed in her home by Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson, who was later charged with first-degree murder. July 7th. For the first time, more than 3 million passengers were recorded passing through airport security in one day, amid an increase in air travel. That was also my anniversary. See, Trump survived July 13th. We were on our cruise when Trump survived the assassination attempt at an outdoor campaign rally. You know, when people say, what's a few inches? There you go. That's a few inches, right? Donald Trump then picked J.D. Vance as his running mate, even though J.D. Vance referred to Donald Trump as America's Hitler once before. I guess that's him being America's Hitler wasn't a big enough issue for him to be able to run as his running mate. Right? Oh, excuse me. God damn. Just kind of scrolling on. July 20th, Trump accepts the Republican nomination for president, giving the longest acceptance speech in history because Trump is full of hot air and probably one of the leading causes of global warming. Then July 21st, Biden dropped out and endorses Vice President Kamala Harris to be, his replacement. And of course, Americans were sexist and racist in voting against her, but voting for other people. Like, Democrats won in some of the states that she needed to win and didn't win in for reasons. Sexism and racism. Let's see. Meta announces it has removed 63,000 Instagram accounts tied to sextortion screams associated with Nigerian Yahoo Boys criminal group. Lovely. Marvel film Deadpool and Wolverine opens with the highest earnings of the year, $233 million in the U.S. and $438 million globally. I know it's such. If you're a Marvel fan and you haven't seen that yet, you need to see that. I mean, he's definitely the merc with the mouth for a reason, but still. Go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. Let's see. McDonald's reports a fall in sales worldwide for the first time since 2020 as higher prices affect demand. Shocked, I say. Of course, McDonald's had issues later with, not being able to serve double quarter pounders or quarter pounders with cheese, for that matter, simply because of the fact that they, had, listeria issues in their onions or whatever. But at least they caught it and stopped selling it, unlike the Bluebell people and their ice cream. Let's see. Someone should count the different words he used. Could have been the longest speech with the least words. But he has the best words. Nobody has better words. Again, I still can't believe. After all of everybody mocking him for saying, I have the best so-and-so, nobody has better so-and-so, that he still says it and uses it, and that people still fall for it and believe it. It's like a kindergarten level brain, if he even has one. But I guess that's why Donald Trump said that he loves the poorly educated after the 2016 Nevada primaries. Let's go on to August. Let's see. Rich people are buying up real estate in my town. Well, rich people are buying real estate everywhere. And of course, they're lowballing people who, when they want to buy to flip it, like my mother-in-law's house, because one offer that was given was a lowball offer by far. Even though it's not a great house, it's a lowball offer by far. Yeah, dumber is going to be dumb, as Cosmic Rose says. Yes. Aerosmith canceled its tour because of vocal cord injury to Steven Tyler. Imagine that. Somebody screaming at that high-pitched thing for such a long time makes you no longer be able to, sing anymore. Shocked. Again, shocked, I say. The Olympics happened. Fun to watch. Wasn't as into it as other years. Vice President Harris on August 6th picked Tim Walz as her running mate. Three Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna, Austria were canceled after a planned terrorist attack was uncovered and 3 people were arrested. Terrorism makes its way around the world. Of course, domestic U.S. terrorists, like those who attacked the Capitol and attacked police officers on January 6th, are going to be pardoned, potentially, by President Trump. Well, I think I'm off that day because President Trump's inauguration is on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we will be streaming live during the inauguration. We won't stream the inauguration, but we'll be streaming live during it and for the hours afterwards, just to see what goes on and what news breaks during the course of the day, so we can react to it as it happens. Maybe we'll play as the show intro of taps. We'll go. Anyway. No thank you, Cursed Luna spammer over on Twitch. Supposedly on August 15th, the death toll topped 40,000, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Of course, again, believe them, take whatever they say with grains of salt, because it's Hamas. And why would I believe Hamas? Of course, it's too many. I will definitely say that there are too many people who are innocent, because more than one is too many. And clearly Benjamin Netanyahu did not take appropriate actions to make sure he would reduce the civilian casualties, because he's more interested in making sure he doesn't go to jail, go to prison. So he wants to use this to keep him out of prison. Of course, this should cause him to go to prison, and he should be dragged in front of The Hague, but there it is. Let's see, August 23rd, RFK Jr. suspended his campaign and endorsed Donald Trump, showing him to be the political hack that he is. Israel and Hezbollah exchanged rocket and drone attacks in an escalation of conflict in August. August 26th, this was an interesting baseball thing. Danny Jansen became the first MLB player to play for both teams in the same game against the Toronto Blue Jays on June 26th. He was playing for the Blue Jays. The game was suspended due to weather, and he was traded prior to the resumption, so he played for both teams on the same game, which is, just so weird. But I mean, I'm actually amazed that it didn't happen prior to that. But let's see. Bodies of 6 Israeli hostages found in a tunnel near Rafah, Gaza, shot just before their discovery. Hamas blames Israel's failure to sign a ceasefire, prompting large Israeli protests. Because again, everything bad that Benjamin Netanyahu has done in his determinations and actions as it pertains to the reaction of Israel and Israeli government from the October 7th attacks, for all that, Hamas still sucks. Hamas is still terror. Hamas are still a bunch of terrorists who use terrorist activities and terrorist actions to do their terrorist things, to eliminate all the Jews from Israel, as the original charter stated, from the river to the sea. Thank you, Aaron, for banning Curse Luna over on Twitch. We've missed a bunch of the chat, so before we enter in September, we will go ahead and bring this up. Let's just put this down here. Maybe that'll be easier to read. Maybe. Sylvian, I was watching a true crime series, a murder, and Kirshner's prosecution evidence team messed up with all the evidence and had to pay $250,000 to fix the house they ruined for repairs. Holy crap. What's up, David and Graham Perry? I didn't see you come in. Good to see you. Hey, Dean. Good to see you as well. My mom tried to drown me for 9 months. What? Let's see. Boo, boo, boo. Someone should count the different... Oh, I already said that. We already went over that. Say, married guy visiting a friend. He went in college and dies at his house. Evidence is all messed up. Alleged murders went free. Interesting. I'm sure my wife has watched it already, because she does like the true one ever. The Rook one, worst birthday of my life incoming, January 20th. I thought I had passed that already. I'm very sorry that your birthday has to be on the inauguration day of Donald Trump twice. Sorry for that. Celebrate your unbirthday instead, like the Mad Hatter. The unsolved murder of Robert Wone. I'll have to ask my wife if she actually saw that. Wait, please don't what? I missed what you're saying. Please don't about. I'm not gonna air. If that's talking about the airing of the thing, I'm not gonna air the inauguration, but I am gonna live stream during it. We're going to, talk about all the stuff that he might do, because I guarantee you that he has a whole, or that somebody else has drafted a whole bunch of executive orders for him, ready to go, so he can just sign it. So, and the first one we're going to see, probably one of the first ones we'll see, if he's going to do it, is the pardoning of the January 6th terrorists. So, Josh, I'm kind of pissed off at the election by how much media attention it pulled from Ukraine and the Middle East. I mean, yeah, but the Middle East pulled information from, also distracted from Ukraine, and that's why Putin loved the fact that that was going on. It's probably why Putin helped all the information get to wherever it needed to go. After Trump leaked Israeli intelligence to Putin, Putin then leaks it to Iran, Iran then leaks it to Hamas, Hamas then knows how to circumvent and get around some of Israeli security measures, and is able to do this big attack on October 7th. And I'm sure that was part of the plan. That was part of the reason why they wanted that to happen, is because, Putin needed to be able to have the world's view off of him for a bit, so he can continue to do his bullshit in Ukraine. Went doomer shopping the other day after learning stock market. Is it possible to do both? Not sure. My birthday is the same day as Ronald Reagan. I'm a 10. Yeah, my birthday is the same day as Cher. I think it's Cher. Let's see. Try to learn me more. I claim sovereignty, Mr. Steve. Are you gonna be a sovereign citizen now? Freaking sovereign citizens are ridiculous. That's not what I want to do. I'm just gonna turn off the phone for right now. Nobody seems to be wanting to call in, so we're gonna turn off the phone and open that back up so I can play audio if I want to. Let's go ahead and also remove the call-in number from there as well, and bring up the soundboard back up just in case I need it. September 2nd, new world record set for eating 83 hot dogs by Joey Chestnut in Netflix Unfinished Beef Labor Day Showdown. Hilariously named. 14-year-old student on September 4th. 14-year-old U.S. student kills 2 teachers and 2 students, hospitalizing 9 at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. Of course, they still... It's too soon to talk about gun violence. Juju. Catherine, Princess of Wales, reveals she has completed her preventive chemotherapy treatment in a video message, because everyone's concerned about the royal family, but not about what happens to the Ukrainians. That's the problem with the world today. More concerned about what happens with the royal family than we are concerned about what happens in Ukraine. Not y'all, but enough people in this world, are like that. Let's see. Rare Survival. The Shem Tov Bible, combining Jewish, Christian, and Islamic artistic traditions, completed by Rabbi Shem Tov Ibn Gayan in Sora, Spain in 1312, sells at auction for $6.9 million. The second presidential debate, the first one between Harris and Trump. Harris won that debate. Of course, the voters didn't matter because we have too many sexist and racist people here in this country. Yes, May 20th is mine. Let's see. What was up here? What did I have up here? I don't even remember. Not that one. There we go. Hurricane Francine made landfall in southern Louisiana as a Category 2 storm. Of course, we didn't leave for that. A man was arrested and charged with attempted assassination of former U.S. President Trump while he played golf in Florida, September 15th. 2 failures of this country that took place. Sitting around with friends, I said, if your mom don't have kids, you won't either. My cousin said, oh, BS. What? That's crazy. Aaron's birthday is the same as Mick Jagger. You know, McDonald's, I think, was going to come out with a burger. It was just 2 callops on a bun, and they called it the Mick Jagger. Kind of just scrolling as to see. Israel's launched an airstrike on Beirut targeting Hezbollah, killing at least 37 people, including civilians, raising fears of an all-out war. China sets a new world record for the most resistive magnet at 42.02 Tesla at Hefei Institute of Physical Science, creating a magnetic field more than 800,000 times stronger than Earth's. Israel lost another attack against Hezbollah. Former U.S. giant retail Kmart confirms it's closing its last full-scale store in mainland U.S. in Bridgehampton, New York. Scroll. Earth acquires a temporary mini-moon, tiny asteroid 2024 PT5, 37 meters wide, was expected to leave Earth's orbit October or 24th of November. Montana man sentenced to 6 months in prison for illegally using large Marco Polo sheep tissue and testicles to clone giant hybrid sheep for trophy hunting. Lovely. October. Iran launched a major missile attack on Israel, most intercepted in retaliation for a ground assault by Israeli forces in southern Lebanon. October 1st is when Jimmy Carter hit his 100th birthday at Plains, Georgia. The first former president to reach the milestone. So he was the oldest living president ever. State of Florida makes it illegal to sleep on sidewalks, parks, or other public spaces in a strict new anti-homelessness law allowed for by the Supreme Court ruling that we talked about a little earlier on in the recap of the review. On October 2nd, they came out with a new Justice Department indictment against Trump, alleging he tried to subvert 2020 transfer of power, taking into account Supreme Court immunity ruling. The Nintendo Museum opens in Uji, Japan, focusing on the company's 135-year history. It's a new Nintendo has been a company for 135 years. It weren't just about Mario. Elon Musk and Tesla unveiled the driverless robotaxi and robovan prototypes at We Robot in Los Angeles. Of course, do we trust them? No. I mean, I would love one day to have just, all automated cars, but, what is an automated car going to do? Is it going to, if it sees a bunch of people it's going to crash into, is it going to crash into the people, or is it going to crash itself if it determines that that's the best way to save lives, and then you die, when maybe you could have come up with a better solution? Who knows? October 17th, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was killed, one of the masterminds of the October 7th attack. Egypt is declared malaria-free by the World Health Organization. Of course, Donald Trump is expected to remove us from the World Health Organization because they don't like science or medicine or whatever. And of course, we'll start seeing the United States having more things like polio and other preventable diseases because, dumbass RFK Jr. wants to, give parents a choice. No, dumbass, you don't. Public health takes precedence there. Sorry, you suck. The Great Cheese Robbery Scam reported to police of a theft of rare English cheddar worth about £300,000. Nice. Or, I don't know what that's in dollars, probably a little less. I think I'm missing one of the ones that I wanted to see. Israel carries out a series of airstrikes on Iranian military targets in and around Tehran. Freddie Freeman sets record with a home run in a 6th consecutive World Series game, including 2 with Atlanta Braves in 2021, an 11-4 loss at Yankee Stadium. Russian legal claims against Google in Russia reaches 2 undecillion rubles, 20 decillion, largely symbolic for blocking Russian channels on YouTube. How do you get to decillion? That's crazy. Shows you how great the Russian currency is, right? November 1st, Collins Dictionary named brat as the word of the year. Making all brats act even more bratty. Of course, November 5th, Donald Trump was reelected by this stupid country of ours, which of course maybe Donald Trump would have been a hypocrite of the year if he would have just slunk away into nothingness after losing the presidential election. Unfortunately, we have too many dumb people in this country who thought that Donald Trump was going to be the solution, including a good maybe 11, 12, 13% of the people in Florida who voted for abortion rights and to enshrine abortion rights into the Florida Constitution, whilst voting for the person for president who made it that you had to have that law try and get passed because he was responsible for the overturning of Roe v. Wade in the first place. This is how dumb people are. People are dumb. I mean, the Doors said people are strange, which is true, but they're also dumb. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Anyway, I think my Oh Holy Night was better from the other day. And if you missed that, go watch the show, because I'm not doing it again I won't sing again unless I get a bunch more money. Super chats. The banana duct taped to a wall by Mauricio Catalan sells for $6.2 million in an auction in New York. The new owner, Justin, says he will eat it because people are crazy. Of course, one of the things that I didn't bring up was the fact that, Israeli did pull off that amazing strike using the beepers that they took from a large order and then stuck explosives in them and then made them all go off at the same time, which was an impressive feat to do. Probably a better thing than their carpet bombing of Gaza. Archaeologists reveal first evidence of 2 different early human species coexisting in the same place, Homo erectus and Paranthropus boise, in the footprints in Kenya. Of course, Homo erectus may make people want to, say certain sounds like, oh my. Dan is the Lizard King. Am I the Lizard King? Why am I the Lizard King? Wait, Jeff, I hate bananas, but I love the flavor. Wait, so do you like bananas or not? In December, of course, December 1st, President Biden pardons Hunter Biden, reversing an earlier decision. Namibia elected its first women president. Thank you, Surrender Monkey, for the $10 super chat. Or the £10 super chat, I should say. 43,000 on December 8th, 43,000 Ukrainian soldiers died in the country's war with Russia, with 370,000 injured, according to President Volodymyr Zelensky. Wonder how many Russians have died. Let's see. On December 8th, the classic baseball era committee of National Baseball elects Philadelphia Phillies, Chicago White Sox, Dick Allen, and Pittsburgh Pirates, Oakland Athletics, Dave Parker for inclusion. Music history, Francis Ford Coppola. Tennessee, I don't know, we don't need that. Assad fled to Moscow, December 8th. Google unveils new quantum computer capable of performing mathematical calculation in 5 minutes. The most powerful supercomputers could not complete in 10 septillion years. So there you go. That's going to be interesting to see what happens once people get their hands on the quantum computer. Of course, December 9th, Luigi Mangione was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania at a fast food restaurant after a 5-day manhunt, charged with the murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Health Care, which should be called United Health Insurance, because the word care doesn't belong in there at all. Let's see. December 13th, the first severe case of a person with bird flu in Louisiana out of more of 60 in 2024, because, it mutated. And, of course, he had other conditions causing it, but, of course, the conservatives are crazy and are going to be like, well, they're going to call us to have lockdowns again, and we don't want to do that. Good, fine. Go play with yourselves and don't put anybody else at risk. How about that? A rare school shooting in Wisconsin leaves one teacher and one student dead, 1,000 injured with a rare case of a female student carrying out the mass shooting. Pope Francis's 2 assassination attempts were foiled by British intelligence and Iraqi police during his visit to Mosul, Iraq in 2021. December 19th, France's largest rape trial, with Dominic Pellicotte found guilty of all charges and sentenced to 20 years for drugging and raping his wife, Giselle Pellicotte, and inviting at least 50 other men to do so. Why would anybody think that's a good idea? It's gross. I mean, if you want to do such things, get consent. Find somebody who would want to have that happen to them with 50 strange dudes, and let them do it under the consent. Consent is important. And for some reason, it's very weird. Like, you can go backwards in the months, like January, February, March, November, December 2024, and the next year I'm given is 2061. So what might happen in 2061? July 28th, 2061, the 31st predicted perihelion passage of Halley's Comet is 2063. So that's what we have to look forward to, or 2061. And then, we have 2063 coming up afterwards. What might happen in 2063? Earth's first contact with extraterrestrial Vulcan species in the Star Trek universe. So they're just talking about sci-fi at this point. What else is interesting on this website? Because I just to see what might happen. What's going to happen in 2084? The next transit of Earth as seen from Mars. 2126. I'm surprised the Apophis thing hasn't been pointed in here. The Swift-Tuttle comet will approach as close to Earth in August 14th of 2126. Of course, Donald Trump will have long destroyed the Earth by then. And then 2134 is the 32nd predicted perihelion passage of Halley's Comet. So lots of interesting things that could happen all in the future. Roxanne, Jeff, I'm familiar with Kathleen Madigan. I like some of her stuff. Why? Yes, and lots are getting buyer's remorse. Wait, from Kathleen Madigan? What happened with Kathleen Madigan? Yeah, when we get rid of the NOAA. Exactly, because we went over Project 2025 and all the crap that, they want to do, and Donald Trump said we're not going to do, but then he's naming people from the Project 2025 project to be, part of his administration, etc. But yeah, anyway, that is the year in review. Last year, I want to think that we're going to do the year in review, and at the last episode of 2023, and then we had something pop up, and we had to discuss that topic for the show, and so we did the year in review in 2024, in January 2024. So this year we have 2 years in review, one for last year, one from this year, same year. Anyway, what somebody said, the new computer might be able to solve pi. I don't think they'll be able to solve pi with the quantum computing. You might be able to get lots of digits out there, but I'm wondering if enough people get computers, is Bitcoin going to go in the tank? I mean, Bitcoin did pass like the 100,000 mark, so good on y'all for buying it and selling it when you had the opportunity to, I suppose. All the pretend money that's being used by the Bitcoiners or whatever, and Doge or whatever. But if you have a computer that's able to perform that many calculations in a second, or that many can solve that type of problem quickly, you'll probably be able to find many Bitcoin public-private key pairs that will enable you to just devalue all the Bitcoin that there is. So, different conversation. Okay. It's hard when I'm talking and rambling about stuff, and then I come back in, it's like, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? Anyway, so I think we covered all of the things that we wanted to cover in today's show. There is the one thing I did want to talk about. Apparently there is a there are people who are concerned in the city of New York that individuals who might want to be copycats of Luigi Mangione are going to come out and put people's lives at risk. Why? Are you having a bunch of health insurance CEOs coming out in the middle of Times Square? Is that what you're going to have? I don't know who else would be upset at anybody who's a copycat killer. If anybody was going to be a copycat of Luigi Mangione, I mean, they're going to be going after CEOs, specifically health insurance CEOs, not random dudes on the street. There was a random dude on the street that was there who witnessed the whole thing, who didn't get harmed one bit, because Luigi Mangione didn't care about anybody else. He just cared about going after that individual person. But, people don't like to let the facts get in the way of their crying, bitching, moaning, etc. So, anyway, we're going to call this an end to this year's Liberal Dan Radio. We will be back on Wednesday night, January 1st, for a new show for a new year. We are going to play the Hypocrite of the Year one more time for all those on Twitch, and then that Twitch will go out, and then we'll hear the Nimbus Yosh, or the Nimbus podcast, or whatever it's called, whatever my intro and outro song, which Twitch doesn't like, but YouTube does. YouTube doesn't have a problem with it, so we'll play it on there. So thank you, everybody, again. I hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year's Eve. Don't blow any digits off. Don't blow any arms off or whatever. Be safe if you're lighting fireworks, firecrackers, etc. And as they say, see you next year. The 2024 Liberal Dan Radio Hypocrite of the Year is 34-time convicted felon and President-elect Donald Trump. He railed about Chinese manufacturing hurting our jobs and then uses them to print Trump Bibles. He bloviated that Vice President Harris would get us into a third world war and now threatens to hit the Middle East with our biggest strike ever. He cries about law and order, but says he may pardon people who assaulted cops on January 6th. I could go on, but there's not enough time left in the year. To see who each week's Hypocrite of the Week is, tune in live Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on liberaldanradio.com or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio for more talk from the left. That's right.